So first of all, what is a commercial lease? Or what is a lease, perhaps, is more relevant. A lease is just a legal document to record a contract or agreement between a landlord and a tenant for a property. So whilst it all sounds very mysterious and you think of big legal documents, strictly speaking, a lease only has to be a minimum of 1 page, really, just setting out the basic terms, although obviously normally we want to have it more complex than that to cover all eventualities, but it needn't be. So it's recording this agreement between the landlord and the tenant so that the tenant can rent a property from the landlord for a set period or term. It gives exclusive occupation of the property for a defined purpose. So therefore, the landlord can't keep coming in and sharing parts of it or anything like that. The tenant is given the right to have it, to lock his front door up and to occupy it as he sees fit, subject to all the terms and conditions and obligations in the lease. The purpose is normally stated as well for occupation. So therefore it might be that it's going to be used as a shop, for instance, or it could be an office, or it could be a hotel, for instance, or whatever. So it sets out the purpose for the occupation. It then sets out the rights and obligations, both the landlord and the tenant. Because as I say, it could be just one sheet of paper setting out the terms and conditions, but normally we need to go a bit further than that, because normally it's become more complex. And in fact, the more complex the type of property, the more complex the lease has to be. So for example, if we take a shopping centre, a rental of a unit in a shopping centre, then it probably has to have certain rights for the tenant to get across the common parts to their unit. So that might be set out. It also might give them rights to run cables or air conditioning and so on. So again, that's set out. There'll also be obligations. So therefore they have to open at certain hours, perhaps, under some shopping centre leases, or they are not allowed to do certain things in the property and so on. And it becomes more and more complex, I'm afraid, with the type of property. Now, I don't know whether any of you have seen a modern commercial lease, a UK one, but you'll find that if you look on the web, if you do a search and you put in typical standard commercial property lease for shop or for offices or whatever, you'll find that there are a selection of them available now that you can see as a sort of basic draft lease. So you may well find that of interest to just look at that and compare it with how they're done in your country. So I said it's commercial business lease. So what is a business? Well, a business is described in statute in the Landlord and Tenant Act 1954, and it's any trade, profession or employment. So it also includes any activity carried on by a body or persons, whether corporate or unincorporated. So what's that mean? What it means is we're not talking about just a private individual with a residential property. We are talking about some legal entity, this business, that carries on its trade, its business there. But it's very wide ranging, in fact. So there have been cases, for instance, where it's held that a property that was occupied by the Boy Scouts, Scout groups, Scout movement, they constituted a business, even though they weren't running it to a profit or anything. They just occupied it to run their Scout meetings and so on. That still constituted a business. So as I say, business is very wide ranging as to what it can cover.